Alright, this is a video on how to connect your cortex to a controller. So we've got the cortex, we've got a controller, and also we're going to be using the VEX keys and a USB cable. So those are the items that you're going to need. First step is we want to actually plug in the cortex to the USB, and we want to update firmware. So I'm going to plug it into my computer. And your light should start blinking. You should have a red VEXnet light, which is kind of hard to see, in the a red robot light and a green game light. I'm going to start up Robot C. Robot C is currently starting here. Alright, here's Robot C. So I want to go into Robot Communication Mode. I want to do Competition VEXnet. I want to go to Download Firmware and make sure I do an automatic Cortex update. So everything is up to date on this particular Cortex. That looks great. I'm going to go ahead and open up my file and download my file that I'm going to be using. So I've created one. Just a pretty basic joystick control program here. It has a button that allows you to start a motor and stop a motor called ARM. I'm going to compile and download it. And it gives me a couple errors. The first one was I need a power cycle. The second one is that the battery's not on, and that's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and stop this. My program now is saved onto my Cortex, so should be good to go. I can then unplug the Cortex and set it aside. And I'm going to plug in the joystick USB cable here. Should recognize. Again, same thing. The power should be off on this, by the way. So power off. There was no battery connected to the Cortex, so it was off as well when it was plugged in. You should get a red joystick light and a green robot, or a green VEX. No, this is a robot light, right? No. A green VEXnet light. That's the third one down when you plug it in. We're going to do an update on this as well. So we go to Robot, download firmware, and we want to do the VEXnet joystick and make sure it's up to date. So that one's good as well. If it needs firmware, it'll just download firmware. It takes about 35 seconds or so to do that. Okay, so once our firmware is downloaded, we can now unplug the joystick. Okay. We don't need the USB cable anymore. Or actually, I'm sorry, we do need the USB cable. We need to unplug it from the computer. So I've taken it out. And see, both ends of my USB cable are here. I'm going to plug one into the back of the joystick. And I'm going to plug one into my Cortex. Okay. So you can see that we've got them linked now with the cable. This is where we need to plug in a battery to the Cortex. I plug the battery into it, and I turn the Cortex on only. So currently there's no power on either one. When I power on the Cortex, it'll send voltage through the USB to the joystick. You'll start seeing some blinking, and then right away you should see that the robot and VEXnet lights turn green on the Cortex. So the top two lights are green, and then the robot and VEXnet lights on the joystick are also green. The reason why the red light on the joystick here is because we are not plugged in or using the batteries on the back of the joystick. So it gives you this red joystick light to say that your batteries are dead. Well, it's getting power via another method, so that's why it should be red there. But again, it should take a few seconds. Those should all green up. We've now synced our controller with the cortex at that point. We can turn off the power to the cortex. We can then unplug the USB cable from both, and this is where we need to insert VEXnet keys. So if you think about what we've done, we've put firmware on both the joystick and the cortex. We've downloaded the program to the cortex. We've synced the cortex with the joystick, and now we're going to then use VEXnet keys. These are just antenna to help the signal. We're going to put a VEXnet key in each, and then we turn them both on within a couple seconds of each other. It doesn't make a difference which one you turn on first. I'm going to turn on the cortex and turn on my controller. And if you look, they should both be blinking some orange lights. This one, the VEXnet and game light are blinking orange, and then all of a sudden they jump to green. So I have a green robot light and a green VEXnet light that's kind of blinking for the VEXnet. You can't see it on the computer because it's blinking at a rate that's different than what, there you can see it. And then on this one you should see green lights on the top three. The top one again tells you the battery power, so that'll go orange to red when your batteries in your joystick are dying or dead. But then these two are the main ones. The robot and VEXnet lights need to go green. Once you're at this position, if I had motors connected here, it would start moving, and I can show that. And through the magic of computers, we now have a motor connected, and if I change the value of the channels, I can actually get it to rotate different ways. Now you can see there's rotating one direction, there's clockwise, and then rotate the other way and it's counterclockwise. And how I'm doing that is I'm using this joystick right here. So if I rotate this way, it goes clockwise, and go the other way, it goes counterclockwise. Let's see if I can get it at a rate. It looks like it's going the opposite direction. There it goes. See how it's funky? Ah, it's your eye playing tricks on you. But anyway, that's to show you that it does work. It's connected to these two. Alright. Anyway, thought that should help. A couple things when troubleshooting. If you don't get the green lights to appear on both your cortex and your joystick, sometimes it's the VEXnet keys that aren't very good. So we've done some testing and paired ones that work well together, and we try to keep those pairs with each other. I'll probably be numbering them in the future once we get that, but sometimes if you just swap out VEXnet keys, they'll start working. Again, you can turn both off and then turn both on again to get them to try to sync. Once you've done that, again, you should see the orange blinking, and then it should go green within 10 seconds. And there they both went green. And that means you're in business and you're ready to go. Good luck.